So I want to move us in the direction of more, let's say, more shitposty / theory, which one always comes with the other. Let's talk chuds for a second. Let's talk chuds. We have a new video from Tom Nicholas that I disagree on for a lot of stuff, but still does some good work. Let's check out the conversation on what the fuck. Not that, bro. God damn it. MacBooking right now.
Let me show you.
Okay.
Let me show you a video.
Video titled "Why the Right's Religious Revival Won't Work." I'm actually interested in hearing the argumentation. Here we talk about religion pretty often and the way it is co-opted by reactionary mechanisms. It's not only religion that can be co-opted, or ethnicity, or national belonging, or gender. Absolutely everything can be co-opted by fascism. And religion, unfortunately, throughout history, posed very little efficiency, unfortunately, again, when it comes to defending itself, its institutions, and its belief system against being co-opted by said reactionary momentum that used the very real and very strong feelings of belonging and mutually shared belief as not a form of unity, but a tool for division and some of the wackiest, craziest, and most fucked up acts of violence that we've ever seen. Thank you, Rialan. Thank you, Rialan, baby. That wasn't taxes. That was for Fed Post. Thank you for your Fed Posting apology. Thank you very much.
Jesus saves! Jesus saves!
It's the 4th of October 2025, and a group of a few dozen religious activists have marched into Soho, the centre of London's nightlife, wearing outfits which resemble a cross between military uniforms and streetwear. They come to a halt not too far from the Admiral Duncan, one of the capital's oldest gay pubs, and they begin to chant.
Jesus saves!
All of which is immediately undercut in their own video by this guy, who deploys the classic British response to seeing odd behaviour in public, which is to pull a funny face. The activists are members of the King's Army, which describes itself as a non-denominational evangelism movement.
King's Army is an evangelistic army.
Whoa, bro, what the fuck?
A coalition
We are the King's Army, brother.
of Christians from all walks of life.
Clanofascismus, woke fat, but inter-ethnic. Let's fucking go. Oh, hell yeah. Arguably the most dangerous type of fascist is one that understands that simply ethnic division is not really the 21st century thing and utilizes other let's say, code for doing reaction.
Locking arms together in unity under the banner of our King, to advance the gospel, raising the standard and pushing back darkness as we plunder hell to populate heaven.
Which all sound
You can populate heaven in a very fucking easy way. Oh no, I can't say it. TOS. TOS yourself, you gopnik. You gopnik, goddammit. You cannot say shit like... And now even if I say it, they have like specific TOS things. Because I was thinking of doing the funny thing of like, oh, you could populate heaven by... And now I can't even say it because that would mean I'm jokingly implying that they should go jump or something, yeah.
it's very grand. In practice, it ends up looking like
A TOS snake eating its own ass. It's a toss.
a cross between the Cub Scouts and if Baz Luhrmann did Henry V.
We're mobilizing a joint task force made up of every denomination, age, social class,
Okay, but what do you want to do, bro?
race, and color
If you just want to hang out and talk about God, God bless, do your thing, bro.
to play their part in this holy salvation war.
A month later, the King's Army's self-appointed Field Marshal, Scott McNamara, gave an interview to the evangelical magazine Premier Christianity about the demonstration. There, he expressed shock that some people in the secular press and on social media had interpreted the stunt as homophobic. "We don't get caught up in politics," was his carefully chosen line. And look, perhaps their choice of location was merely unfortunate. Perhaps their description of Soho as London's sex district.
Oh my fucking god, it's not non-dominational to be evangelical. It's literally a domination, bro. Denomination. Woo-hoo!
In the caption to the video of the
Around 100 King's Army soldiers descend upon the sex district of Soho, London, to bring the good message of God. Not the sex districts. Not the sex districts, bro. Have you asked for our consent to have the sexes?
chanting that they uploaded to Facebook was made entirely without judgment. But McNamara's claims that they don't ever get caught up in politics are somewhat undercut by the fact that 2 months previously, the group had organised a protest outside 10 Downing Street and then the Houses of Parliament opposing the legalisation of assisted dying.
House of Lords! Hear the word of the Lord.
Which, I know people's definitions of what does and doesn't count as political vary, but staging a demonstration outside of Parliament demanding that a specific piece of legislation not be passed kind of feels like a slam dunk. If McNamara and the rest of his soldiers deny their loud pronouncements about God are political, however, they're increasingly unique. Over the past couple of years, politics and Christianity have been on an unignorable collision course, not only here in the UK, but in Europe and the US too. Which isn't entirely without precedent. America in particular has had a well-defined and extremely vocal Christian right for decades. What's new is an apparent embrace of Christianity as part of a much broader political strategy. The political right aren't just trying to appeal to Christian voters, they're placing God front and centre of their political messaging for everyone.
This is like an old-time revival, isn't it? An old-time revival.
A cross on wheels is dragged around the Charlie Kirk Memorial Rally in Arizona. A bishop of questionable credentials preaches to an anti-immigration march in London. Peter Thiel delivers a lecture series.
King's Army have adopted the colors aesthetic branding of Oath Keepers / Proud Boys, except they're straight up Neo Crusaders. Yeah, but that's you don't have to and Proud Boys adapted the aesthetic of somebody else, who adapted the aesthetic of somebody else, who adapted the aesthetic of somebody else. Fascist movements are D&D IRL, and you can literally just invent your fucking thing. Okay, you want your thing to revolve around race? Okay, you can do it. You want your thing to revolve around religion? Okay, you can do it. You want your thing to revolve around whether you like vaccines or not? Okay, you can do it. You want your thing to revolve around eye color? Okay, you can do it. The reason we always have to identify fascist movements as fascist movements is because they all have one underlining core idea. And that is that hierarchy is inherently natural, that hierarchy must be preserved, and that whatever we define as the main group must dominate all others, because we believe that if the other group ends up dominating, they will not allow us to live our life the way we want to live it. Therefore, to preserve, land and blood and whatever you want to call it, way of life, we must ensure that we step on the neck of all other ways of life and remind them that in the hierarchy of what is okay and what is not, ours stands on top, and hopefully one day ours stands as the only one once all others are exterminated, deported, or consumed by the greater whole. The core of fascistic thinking is always hierarchy, 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 hierarchy. If you really want to strip everything back, absolutely everything back. The main difference between so-called, socialists and anarchists versus reactionaries is that socialists and anarchists want to question hierarchy at every step and want to eventually, 1,000 years down the line, completely abolish it, where they focus currently, obviously in an intersectional manner, on class as the largest contradiction between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. With fascists, it does not matter what kind of contradiction they want to embrace, but it does matter that they want to embrace contradiction and therefore want to embrace this quasi-scientific idea that by not only accepting, but encouraging the kind of mass caste system of hierarchy that they believe in, the world will fit back into its proper place, and we're all going to be happy, etc., etc. So yeah, hierarchy versus anti-hierarchy. That's it. That's it.
On the Antichrist. British MP
That's the core. That's the core. That's the core.
Danny Kruger asserts the inherent Christianness of
That does not imply that all the analysis, fascism is just what liberals become when they bleed, or fascism is the violent methodology through which the status quo is preserved. All of those are true, but all of those are true and completely compatible with what, in my opinion, as not to sound too fancy over here, but as an expert in fascism, if I'm an expert on anything, I'm an expert on fascism. The land on which the house of fascism is built is obsession with hierarchy, and the land on which socialist thought is built on is anti-hierarchy. But this is, sometimes intellectual masturbation, but still very important to understand, because that's what allows you to see through fascistic organizations, even though maybe on the surface they don't exactly look like Adolf Hitler's Nazi party. I need you to see this. What is this? Context. While photographing the Manul, I noticed our rangers had forgotten his gloves at base camp and felt uncomfortable. So he gave him the forbidden gloves, which warmed him up and made him very happy. Keep in mind, this was in minus 20 degrees weather. I took the toughest image of all time here in Mongolia. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Unk enjoying himself over here. Oh, now I see it. Embrace all unks. From Mongolia to Spain.
Of England in Parliament.
All politics is religious, and in abandoning one religion, we simply create a space for others to move into.
And then there's the conversions. It's not just J.D. Vance discovering Catholicism or Russell Brand conveniently being baptized just as the allegations drop. Jordan Peterson goes to church now, as does the Bell Curve author Charles Murray, as does, of all people, Joseph Rogan.
Wait, are you going to church too, or is that bullshit?
I have been to church.
Oh, fuck.
Why? Have you ever been to church before?
I've been.
It's actually very nice.
In fact, the real bellwether is the about-face of many new atheists. Richard Dawkins, of the God Delusion fame, now describes himself as a cultural Christian.
Insofar as Christianity can be seen as a bulwark against Islam, I think it's a very good thing.
Commentators have suggested that at its most virulent, we might be experiencing a rise of Christian nationalism.
Christian nationalism.
White Christian nationalism.
The phrase Christian nationalism gets thrown around a lot these days.
But I think that's a bit of a misread. For all the airtime the press has given to oddball priests and
all Balkan dudes in chat being like, hey, clerofascism, we did this thing before any of you fucking did this thing. To explain everything in Fortnite terms, also known as Yugoslavia, Yugoslavia map, okay? I will show you this, okay? I will show you this. Look at this map. Look at this map, okay? Tell me I'm fucked up. I don't care, but I think that all of these guys here are like 95% the same. Except for one very particular thing. These guys like their crosses a little bit more curved here in Serbia and call themselves Orthodox. These guys over here like their crosses very fucking straight and they call themselves Catholics. And these guys here are divided between the curved crosses, the straight crosses, and also they have Muslims. So, how do you take a group of people that are literally the fucking same? I mean, I'm sorry, with all due respect. Obviously, I respect the, individual representation of the Serbs and the Bosnians and the Croats and the Slovenes and the Montenegrins, and God bless your soul. But it's as different as a guy from the south of any of these countries versus the north of any of these countries, right? How do we make sure that they focus on how different they are instead of how similar they are, as a means to make them shoot at each other, burn each other's villages down, hang each other's religious people, and blow each other's houses up and shoot each other's grandmas? Well, we hyper-focus on the main thing that differentiates them, their religious denomination, and then we form militant movements that propagandize hardcore about how it is incompatible for all of these people to live together on the same piece of land because they quote-unquote believe in a different God or a different way to pray, etc., etc. This is fascist rhetoric co-opting religious belonging as a means to others and create a cohesive class collaborationist union of us. Okay? This is what cloudofascism is. It is simply another example of how you can utilize in-group, out-group as a methodology of motivating great violence. Okay? That is Fortnite. Instead of Fortnite explanation, this is Yugoslavia explanation. You understand? You understand.
From fringe denominations, the reality is that whatever apparently Bible-inspired policies conservatives might be pursuing are the least important and interesting part of any of this. And while the apparent rise of so-called Christian nationalism is surely worrying, there's every chance that conservatives' current decision to cling to the cross is not the sign of political strength, but of political weakness.
Thank you, Ray Vax, for the 4 months. Be like Ray Vax and support the show. Thank you very much, Ray.
Look at this photograph. This is a snap of J.D. Vance. It was taken in the Cotswolds in the west of England while the Vice President was visiting the UK this August. In particular, it was taken at a barbecue that he threw. And that this is the only publicly available photo of that barbecue is unfortunate. Because the other guy in this picture, Thomas Skinner, is almost completely irrelevant to the topic of rising Christian conservatism in global politics. Worse still, he's such a weird and wonderful character that it kind of breaks my heart
to me as well. I was kind of a fan of him.
not be able to squeeze in a sidebar in which I tell you everything about him.
Yeah. One thing I will do, and anyone that knows me will say this, I will give it my best shot. Relax, drink a Stella, you know it make you feel better. You know me, I never, ever, ever look when I put on my gravy, because I'm the absolute governor, of course.
Fucking love this guy. Absolute governor. Absolute governor. If you're like, oh, who is this guy? I'm not good with faces. I can't remember who this guy is. It's the absolute governor. Absolute governor. He's also the guy like, look at this beautiful broad. Can we find her a husband? She's looking for a husband. Look at her. She's beautiful. Are you looking for a husband? No. Like that's one of the most classic fucking videos of all time.
He's Tom Skinner. Tom Bosh.
Abosh.
Stay strong, Tom. Vance's trip to the UK wasn't an official one. He was here with his family as a private citizen on holiday. But that didn't mean that he wasn't working. It simply means that outside of a brief carp fishing trip with David Lammy, he was able to snub members of Britain's ruling Labour Party in favour of catching up with fellow travellers on the political right. The most important of these meetings, to my mind, was this barbecue. Because
what kind of fucking patriot goes over to sissy airplane? God damn it! You can't vacation in America. You know how big our beautiful country is. God damn it! Oh my God, my vice president. Why are you not fucking proper union, right-wing union labor couches? Why are you going to Sicily land, Europe land, and fucking dairy couches? Couch trader. If I were to mask like that all day, I would get a headache. How do you do it? I have headaches. Welcome to my world, my friend. You think I don't have a headache 24/7? That's fucking hilarious.
Alongside Skinner, Vance had invited two further guests with a little more political and intellectual weight.
I have wrote a speech.
The first is Danny Cruz,
happy early birthday, Mary Jane,
MP who has since defected to Nigel Farage's Reform Party.
The Conservative Party is over.
over as a national party, over as the principal opposition to the left.
In perhaps the funniest case of British nepotism I've come across, he's also the son of Prue Leith from the Great British Bake Off.
Quite often I need 2 holes so that I can squirt.
The final guest that we know about was James Orr. Orr is an associate professor in the Faculty of Divinity at the University of Cambridge, and was recently appointed as a senior advisor to the Reform Party. His greatest influence to date, however, has been as something of a mentor to J.D. Vance during his transformation from Trump explainer and critic to aspiring Trump successor. Politico has described him as Vance's English philosopher king, while Vance himself has apparently called him his British Sherpa. Orr, for his part, has played down this relationship, framing it instead as a journey of mutual intellectual growth.
I think that wildly overstates my influence on Senator Vance. If anything, he has been a mentor to me. We've had wonderful conversations over the years about politics, political philosophy, faith, religion. Senator Vance and I have a sort of kind of camaraderie on trying to work out what the new right should look like in the 21st century.
That question of what the new right should look like is him. It's the beating heart.
Ooh, is that a sound of a subscriber? Did that make me feel really good because somebody used their Prime on me? Oh, God, you make me feel very special, baby. Thank you very much. What's up, Birar? Welcome to the community, baby. I always say welcome to the community to the people that subscribe for the first time. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Why does it...
Palantir
why did they change everything? Fucking hell.
Palantir CEO Alex Karp recently argued that making war crimes constitutional would be good for business.
The more constitutional you want to make it, the more precise you want to make it, the more you're going to need my product. So you keep pushing on making it constitutional. I'm totally supportive of that.
Karp's company, Palantir, sells its technologies to the government to help them better surveil and kill people. So making things like the recent...
Keyword, not just surveil, but kill people, okay? This is a military company. This is not a surveillance company. This is a killing tech company.
Boat strikes in the Caribbean constitutional would mean that the government would need to pay Palantir more money to use more of their products. I mean, guys, in other words, the more innocent people get murdered while floating in the ocean struggling to stay afloat, well, hey, the better business will be for big tech companies like Palantir. Now, of course, this shouldn't be a surprise coming from a guy who told investors that the rise of the West was not made possible by the superiority of its ideas or values or religion, but rather by its superiority in applying organized violence. But what's
is literally 100% true, but then to look at that and say, okay, we need to do more violence is incredible. Because he can't even, like... The reason that argument should get you in a mental institution is because it implies that there is nothing inherently superior to Western civilization. It's only the domineering one because it managed to, be more physically powerful than everybody else. So that's premise number one. Premise number one is there is nothing that makes Western civilization more impressive than any other. And after stating this, you go ahead and you say, we got to kill more people in order to preserve Western civilization's dominance, which I just implied is not that special. Then why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? I completely understand somebody, okay, a reactionary just says it is superior, okay, and that is why we need to preserve it because everything else is barbarism. We don't want barbarism. This is based, hallelujah, KFC, let's fucking go, right? I disagree with it, but I understand the argument. What I don't understand is you saying that there is nothing inherently superior about Western civilization, and yet we should all be willing to kill for it, to stay on top. How do you explain this to yourself? Only in two ways. Either you feel like you're part of the in-group, you feel like you are benefiting directly from Western civilization being on top, and there is no such thing as a cooperating world. It has to be one stepping on another. And you're like, I am Western, and I want it to be preserved because I am Western. Or which I think is the greater case when it comes to Palantir, because these guys are genuinely in it for the money. They understand that they need to develop a particular ideology that the future of the United States is going to adopt to, if they want stock prices to go up, because they're going to be buying more and more of their shit, and that is, very proactive militarism and so on, especially in the tech sector. It's because he thinks that once this ideology is internalized, might makes right, which they've already internalized a long time ago, so it's extra strange. It's gonna be good for capital flows. So, TLDR, we are looking at a person that openly says that there is nothing inherently superior to Western culture, but that still believes you should die to preserve it because it's going to make your stock number go up. He is one of the most, like a zoo animal depiction, an experiment on a table that you dissect, depiction of a capitalist. Of a capitalist for the sake of capitalism. A capitalism that is so conscious of the fact that the pitch he's giving you on why you should die for him makes no sense, that he says it to you. And he still knows that you're going to do it. You're still going to die for him, even when he tells you that it makes no sense culturally or in any other way to want to do so. Wow. I'm sorry, but wow. It's incredible. They would argue Western civilization is superior, most likely. But no, he doesn't. He says it's superior because we're stronger. If we want to stay on top, we got to be stronger. We got to have bigger guns. But why does it have to stay afloat? Why does it have to be on top, even though you just argued that it's not on top? Because of, you get the contradiction here. You get the massive contradiction here, right? Because he's not talking to you per se, he's talking to other capitalists. That's also a very good point. Let me go grab another beer.
Even scarier
and take a piss. I'll be right back, chat. Keep yourself entertained. No Fed posting.
Is that this isn't just one gacked up CEO that loves money and death in equal measure. It's an example of a larger system that is straight up taking over politics in the US and Europe. And without intervention, it seems like they are very much going to get away with it, carrying out a series of proverbial drone strikes on democracy in the process. Do you think democracy still exists? Shout it out in the comments. It's still like, how much is democracy still really a thing when you really think about it? But a new map might actually help us understand what the billionaires are doing, and then help us figure out how to critique and resist this new authoritarian system. Okay, so let's take a look at this map and try to get our heads around what's really going on. So one of the hardest things about contemporary politics is that we all basically know that all the assholes are working together to fuck us, but we can't always articulate precisely how they're doing it, which can leave us on the verge of feeling like conspiracy theorists.
And when I open the door, what do I find? There's not a single goddamn desk in that office. There is no Carol in HR.
But this study, The Authoritarian Stack, maps things out in a way that actually makes sense, especially helpful for visual learners like I am. And if you are watching YouTube, you're probably a visual learner too. Now, the study opens with this. In late July 2025, deep within the Pentagon's bureaucratic machinery, the US Army quietly signed away a piece of its sovereignty. A $10 billion contract with Palantir Technologies, one of the largest in the Department of Defense's history, was framed as a move toward efficiency. It consolidated 75 procurement agreements into a single contract. These are the stakes we're facing here, right? The US government is already outsourcing its core military functions to a company run by alt-right Taika Waititi, a company he started alongside another Silicon Valley sicko who is really obsessed with the Antichrist. But the horrifying and important thing here is that these psychos are just two nodes of an increasingly complex network of power that's been unfolding right underneath our noses. Now, Thiel and Karp are connected with guys ranging from Mark Andreessen to J.D. Vance to Elon Musk and Donald Trump Jr. Just a bunch of hot guys. Just a bunch of good-looking, cool, hot guys. You know, like the Entourage guys.
Cheers, guys.
For a new generation.
Cheers, guys, gays, and NBs. Hoo-wah-wah-wah. Anybody drinking with me on this fine Sunday?
Now, this map shows
if you can even call this booze, this is fucking water.
It's not only the funds and corporations that connect all these guys, but it
It's not
also
fluffy.
shows us their ideological and financial connections. So, for example, we can see that Andreessen espouses the doctrine of techno-accelerationism, and that
I don't know if you watch the Jay Aubrey series on these freaks. I did my own analysis of these freaks in the program episode. I pride myself in extensive knowledge of these freaks.
Vance's signature ideology is Christian nationalism. Now, this is important.
Oh, Le Fait Blonde. Somebody's got that good old money man. Very good. Enjoy it, brother.
As the study shows how these ideologies fuel and then reinforce the tech authoritarian system. Okay, before I show you the full tech authoritarian stack, I wanted to show you an article that I saw today, which exemplifies why the connection between Silicon Valley and Washington is so important and frankly, so scary. Now, on the day that I'm filming this, President Trump has said he's going to sign an executive order which limits individual states' ability to regulate AI. Some are already calling this order a big giveaway to big tech. And I've been reading the story with the help of this video sponsor, Ground News. Now, Ground News is not only the first ever brand to sponsor this channel, they're also an incredibly useful tool for making sense of so many of the events and stories that I cover here on this channel. You know, it's tempting to just use my social media feed to see what sort of articles that my friends and colleagues are sharing, but this often leaves out.
You know what Ground News is. If you want to use Ground News, you go to his channel and click the link. The link to his channel is pinned on top.
A favor to many chatbot balls to map individuality between ideology being used to defend these positions while also showing me precisely who runs and owns these new we call the authoritarian stack. It is faster, ideological, and fully privatized. A regime where corporate boards, not public law, set the rules. So it's not just that these powerful forces are influencing the state, they're literally building their own state, one in which they're the monarchs and we're just the powerless little subjects. Now, we see this transfer of power from the state to big tech in the number of government personnel who have recently been handpicked by these private companies. This creates a direct pipeline between Silicon
Yes,
Valley.
but what is new here, my friend? Your video's title was Capitalism's New Playbook. This is not a new playbook, okay? Just the quote-unquote traditional military-industrial complex has been replaced with the tech industrial complex. And they are putting money into politics to get officials elected that are going to help further spiral the country towards buying more of their shit. This is pretty typical. I guess they're the next step because they're also actively trying to develop a particular new quasi-niche brand of this is how you defend American exceptionalism type shit by just screaming about the Antichrist all the time.
Valley in Washington, D.C. Now, we've also recently seen executives from Palantir, Meta, and OpenAI sworn in as lieutenant colonels in the U.S. Army. So next time you thank the troops, make sure you...
I literally broke the news that it's just incredible to even say, that the CEO of Palantir Europe is the fucking grandson of Oswald Mosley himself. And if you think that's a coincidence, you are very fucking stupid, bro.
Thank people that work at Palantir.
Or just really academically coded, I guess.
Meta.
Academically coded. I need source for that, bro. How can you make those correlations? Oh, how can I make a correlation between the world's most advanced and open multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company that does not only verbally encourage the rise of fascism, but invests their money into it, hiring the grandson of Europe's third most famous fascist figure of all time as their head for the UK and Europe. Those two things have nothing in common. They could have just as easily hired a great-grandson of Gandhi or... Ay. Very funny.
And OpenAI. And just to be clear here, this means that tech guys are increasingly running both the government and the military. Surely this ends well. Whenever I've hung out with tech guys, I think to myself, I wish they ran everything. Now, this obviously sucks, but what's more important right here is to see the pipeline by which this power has been established and which allows it to expand.
I love pipelines.
Infinite loop. Now, as they outline this loop in the study, they begin with ideology, which in this case often means a mix of techno-accelerationism, Christian nationalism, and light fascism. Those ideological commitments lead to investments by venture capital in technologies and companies that can serve those ideological goals. Now, through a process...
Listen. These are very class-conscious billionaires that understand that the protection of the American status quo will necessitate a greater use of state power as a means to preserve said status quo. So they are already playing the long game, where they are not only supporting your next neocon presidential or senatorial figure as a way to, just have everyday lukewarm Republicans or Democrats in charge. They are protecting their current political power by connecting to those types of guys, but they're protecting their long-form capital and political interests by developing a new supra-class of reactionary who is going to be far more open towards the utilization of state violence to an even greater level, if you can imagine it. Yes, it can go to an even greater level as a means of preserving said status quo, their interests, etc., etc. And it's such an incredibly impressive, MLM, multi-level marketing scheme, isn't that funny? Because they will sell the very state they are motivating to kill its citizenry as a way of preserving capitalism, the products that will preserve capitalism and their own interests. They have unironically gamified the game, the great game of reactionary versus revolution. It is, if it was not evil to an impressive level, it would be impressive. It would kind of even be beautiful, if I can say so myself. You must preserve capitalism no matter what, and we will sell you the tools to do so for profit. And once you win, all of our interests will have been protected. like Satan level evil shit, bro. Like cartoon shit. Kartonenschitten. Das ist Kartonenschitten. Nil is running CFB. That's why I appreciate the purity of the Army Navy. Yeah. Welcome. Willkommen to the future, meine Freunde. In Cyberpunk 2077, the US president was an officer in a PMC/weapons manufacturer. That's what they want, but without all the cool cyberpunk shit. Like, you ain't getting no cyber dick or titty, okay? Unless he can shoot at people who propose the idea that maybe capitalism not that based. Maybe capitalism run its course. Sit down. You have been executed by Robo-Titty.
State capture, these companies use contracts to gain state power. And then this new state power continues to feed, aka fund, the same private system that built it. And then this new system loops back by further empowering the ideology that got the whole thing started. As the study describes it, each layer reinforces the others. Ideology justifies investment.
Yes.
Investment captures state power. State power secures contracts. Contracts build infrastructure. Infrastructure becomes indispensable. Indispensability generates returns. Returns fund more ideology.
Okay, this is brilliant. This graph is actually brilliant. This is a great explanation of how it works. Superior even to mine from 5 minutes ago. This is good. This is very good. This is correct. This is very correct. And you know what it also looks like? A snake eating its own ass, baby. Yeah, 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 yeah. And if you like these reference points, it is time for the Grift section. Reminder to support the show. Here we do analysis faster, quicker, not always better, but definitely faster than anyone else on the direction capitalism is going in. So support the show and you will enjoy it with 0 ads, 0 sponsors, and 100% potential gamba. Thank you for considering it. My dream, the dream of a little boy, is to reach 3,000 by the end of the month, because that's going to be 2 years since we started streaming, and having 3,000 in 2 years would be absurdly impressive on this platform for the type of content that we do. And it would show the power, size, and strength of this community that we have managed to develop. And if you want to contribute to this, you're very welcome to, and you're very encouraged to, because it's a win-win. You get a subscription, or you get somebody else a subscription. You pay your taxes. You make this number go up. We only had one Westerner pay taxes today. And we all hold hands and sing Kumbaya, eh?
Indispensability generates returns.
The fast food of analysis, but like the best. We are like Duners of analysis.
Returns fund more ideology. Now, to use our favorite satanic...
No, jokes aside, I don't just fucking watch news here. I don't just analyze historical events here. Here, we apply dialectical materialism to the actively developing state of capitalism. Okay? That is the main thing we do here. We apply the ever-changing momentum of the necrosis stage of Western capitalism, and specifically how it impacts your everyday life. And we try to guess how it's going to impact it in the future. So yes, we absolutely do that.
Next Step Brothers, Alex Karp and Peter Thiel, as an example. We have an ideology grounded in the power of the West and the incompatibility of freedom and democracy, which led to them using venture capital to start Palantir, a company which uses advanced surveillance technology to capture state power. This power then led the state to paying them billions of dollars in contracts to further integrate Palantir into state and military infrastructure. This infrastructure has now become indispensable to the state, being used for everything from ice raids to boat strikes, which creates further wealth for Palantir, which Karp and Thiel can then use to push their initial ideological aims. And this all
snake eating its own ass
makes it very clear why Karp would want to make new forms of
It's a great video.
Violence constitutional, as it both furthers his ideological...
How could this possibly go wrong? But isn't that the joke? It's not going wrong. It's going exactly how they want it to go.
And
for them. For us, it's wrong. Of course, for us, it's bad. But
financial interests. And as we see in the maps of the authoritarian stack, the important thing is that it's not just these guys. And further, it's not just...
Bad is always someone else's good. We live in a society.
just different sets of isolated Silicon Valley interests. It's a coordinated network with a shared ideological apparatus working to privatize state infrastructure across the domains of data, defense.
I don't even think it's a shared ideological perspective. They just unironically sat down and brainstormed what the ideology of the future of American capitalism is supposed to be depicted as for the masses. Like it's a IRL D&D. They were like, okay, what do you think these fuckers want to hear? Okay, let's do this fucking thing. Who else has shooters 4,000 years on? Jesus only has 2,000 years.
Space, energy, and money, what they refer to as the foundations of democratic power. Now, the question that the study leaves
That's so funny. The fucking phrasing is fucking gold tier, dude.
us with is whether democratic societies can recognize this formation for what it is and build alternatives before the infrastructure of control becomes too deeply embedded to dislodge. It's sort of like if you're seeing someone casually and you realize that
The funny thing is that, yes, it's a great point, but we do build alternatives every day, and alternatives become easier and easier to build when it comes to the developing of consciousness, the more obvious these contradictions become, aka the more obviously evil and demented and crazy your state becomes, the more obvious it gets that they are just working for insanely rich military industrial complex people. The easier it is going to be to pitch the idea that, you know, alternatives to capitalism not only do exist, but that we should 100% stand behind them. That's one perspective, but that's just the agitation perspective, right? What is going to make a lot harder is organization, because these motherfuckers will utilize the fact that they've developed a capitalist surveillance state to preserve, well, guess what? Motherfucking capitalism. So yes, not all contradictions directly lead to higher chances of success for the rest of us. If that was the case, then accelerationism would fucking work. No. There's pluses and minuses to everything getting worse a little bit, you know? When it comes to the perspective of the revolutionary left, or the left that just wants healthcare, you know?
Like you more than you like them, but it's also nice to have someone to hang out with. You got to do the math of, like, you know, can I get out of this before I'm too deeply embedded, before they're too deeply embedded? Because then,
when does the vicious cycle of imploding capitalist societies end? I'd pay 40% taxes to get that shit over within a heartbeat. It's like reading the same book for the 30th time. It ends when, during one of its cycles of chaos, when that chaos is co-opted by a anti-capitalist force. That is the only way it ends. Moments of chaos always arise in absolutely every single system that has existed throughout history, which includes capitalism, fucking obviously. And those moments of crisis, some larger and some smaller, need to be co-opted by a movement that does not fuck with said system. That's it. And if it's not co-opted by such a movement, it is going to be co-opted by reaction, which will further entrench itself in the perseverance, in the goal of preserving said system. So yeah, it's that's why organize, as silly as it sounds, but without organizations that are literally standing and waiting to co-opt such chaos, you cannot change the system, because that's how it was changed every single time throughout history. Every single time.
Then you got to...
And it is possible. It is very much so possible.
Marry them. Then you're all in. And to be clear, that's not an example about how people have liked me when I didn't like them. It's more an example about how for much of my 20s, I would get really into people and then they would dislodge me before I was too deeply embedded. That sounded sexual. I didn't mean it like that. I meant it emotionally. I didn't mean it sexually. Now, here's why this is all important. This study isn't just showing us the web of connections between various rich pieces of shit. It's literally mapping out the way in which contemporary capitalism operates. And if we're able to visualize the way the system works, well, then we actually have a chance to properly critique that system and politically organize against that system. Now, this process of trying to produce a totalizing picture of the contemporary system of power is what theorist Frederick Jameson referred to as cognitive mapping. He talks about this in the context of his work on postmodernism, which for him is just another way to describe the cultural logic of late capitalism as the ultimate function of postmodern culture.
Zin? Anyone?
Is just reinforcing the underlying logic of capitalism. Now, one particularly tricky feature of this cultural logic is that it actively resists totalization. meaning that it's increasingly difficult for us to clearly see what's really going on and almost impossible to get a clear picture of relations of power and class interest. This is important because, as Jameson sees it, if we can't identify a totalizing system, well, then we won't be able to actually critique and maybe eventually destroy that system. And this is why I find the authoritarian stack so fascinating. It gives us a clear visual map of the relations of power shaping our world. Again, this might just be me, but seeing things in a visual, mapped out, connected sense makes a lot more sense than just reading a bunch of stuff and trying to build the map in my mind. And the language of the map is important, as we can imagine the difference between visiting a new city with and without a map. You know, let's say you're dropped into the middle of London with no map, no phone, no sense of where the city ends and where it begins. You'll be struggling to find a point of orientation from within this city to help you make sense of the city as a totality. And no one's going to help you, you know, because Londoners aren't just smiling and being helpful. They're just like,
just this massive fucking space here. You're just still clocking on down the road, aren't you? Fucking move!
But let's say you instead visit this city with a detailed map. Well, you're now able to see London as a totalized structure, which allows you to not only understand where you are in relation to the city as a whole, but also how
the need to not dumb down, but create multiple formats that will work in different ways on different people to better explain the fucking point you're trying to put across. A lot of people fucking forget this, okay? Are we gonna get millions of socialists with fucking printed newspapers? No, we're not. But are printed newspapers still important because there's 12 people that read newspapers? Yes. Well, sure. But you need another format and another format and another format. And this is marketing expert Yugo, not even socialist Yugo, okay? As many formats as you can create, the better. As many, the better. There is not one that is superior to the other, because that implies that there is a medium which is going to be understood and consumed by absolutely everyone. No such thing has been invented, my friend, okay? And it will never be invented, because that is not how ideological funnels or consumer funnels work. That is not how the human brain works when interacting with something that they have not previously considered, but that they are now potentially going to consider. Some people like to drive down we're trying to sell this beer, right? We're trying to sell this beer. Some people are going to drink this beer instead of another beer because they saw it on a billboard when driving back home. They were like, oh, holy shit, maybe I should have that beer, and then stop at a supermarket and get this particular beer. Another guy needs ladies with very big bazongas on an TV advertising drinking it, and they link their consumption habit to sexualized content or whatever. Another guy needs an advertisement where they explain why this beer is actually very high quality organic beer. Another guy needs this beer linked to the hipster lifestyle. Oh my God, guys with very long beards, they fucking love this shit. Oh, you're gonna be so original and so different than anybody else if you drink this beer. They're gonna get that pitch. Other guys just consume the shit that people that are inspired by also consume. Oh, look, it's Jennifer Lopez drinking this beer. Ooh, I can be as good looking as J-Lo and also drink this beer. So the beer company does not just do one pitch. The beer company uses 700 different types of media, uses 700 different types of pitch in every single one of those mediums in order to get you to drink the fucking beer. And if you think that us as socialists can use only one when it comes to pitching an idea that is supposed to motivate you to get off your fucking ass, join an organization or start an organization that is going to change, I don't know, a little thing called the system that governs the universe, right? You are a fucking idiot. So anybody that's like, ooh, I don't think video essays do anything. Ooh, I don't know if Twitch streams do anything. Ooh, I don't think that like standing in the, or whatever organization's hall that you have and, preaching a particular idea or debating is going to do anything. Okay. To an extent, ironically, you're right. All of these individually would not do anything. Oh, printed shit. Oh, this is not going to do anything. All of those combined create an ecosystem that maximizes the potential of doing something. of actually changing opinion. But it doesn't only end at the agitation stage. Once you're actually trying to change things, you also got to do all of that shit. Okay? Variety is the spice of life. Brain rot mass line. I love brain rot mass line.
Brain rot is the gateway to the socialist revolution. Now stick with me, right? Because I see a lot of people saying, oh no, look at my proletariat, we're never getting a revolution. But I think this fails to understand that this is quintessential revolutionary education. Why? Because it meets the people where they're at. This parallel.
A certain group of people that needs brain rot needs to feel that a particular political movement is edgy in order to consider joining it. Yes! Brilliant man, absolutely 100%. Is it the only thing we need? No, of course not. But does it contribute? Of course it fucking, oh my God. A marketing campaign or a pitch or a funnel is successful if it even converts one person. Good, there's one more person on our side. Why are you shit-talking this? One can look at a campaign and say that it's a shit campaign if it's dissuading more people than bringing in. That is good and interesting commentary right there. But the means to calculate such a thing is pretty complicated.
Mao's mass line idea, right? Where we meet the people where they're at, we see where their material conditions are, and from there we raise class consciousness, not from where we want them to be, but from where they materially are. And let's face it, the material conditions in the US are that the average reading level is at what, 6th, 7th grade? Yeah, people can read what's on the books, but they cannot comprehend what they're reading. In Pedagogy of the Oppressed, Paulo Freire wrote something very similar. He said, before we take on the task of trying to educate and learn, we have to investigate the themes, or in other words, the material conditions, the patterns that are relevant and important to the working class. Only from that material reality can we begin. And in turn, we use these cultural symbols such as SpongeBob, Rick and Morty, brain rot as entry points to spread revolutionary ideas. When education starts from a person's reality versus some abstract point, then can critical consciousness actually come into fruition. So yeah, I would consider that textbook revolutionary education, because if we don't meet the people where they're at, the ruling class will find a way to do so.
More. Give me fucking more. Exactly. More. You have an extremely niche idea about how to pitch anti-capitalist shit. Fucking do it. Ooh, I ride my bike really fast in the line. And I scream socialism. If it fucking works, fuck yeah. Do anything, everything good. Explaining things in Fortnite terms, fucking great. Everything good, okay? Not everything bad. Everything good when it comes to the tools that you can use to pitch all that shit. God fucking damn it. Many fronts. I want fronts. Fuck it. I'm literally foaming at the mouth. That's fucking crazy. Literally everywhere. Indeed. Thank you, comrade Zania. Fucking literally everywhere. Thank you, damn it, Dave. God damn it. Thank you for the gifty as well. Let's fucking go, damn it, Dave, with the biddies. We're fucking everywhere. I want fucking everything. Oh, we don't need a fucking masked Balkan guy fucking screaming about this shit on Twitch. It makes us look this or that way. Well, there's 760 people forming a fucking community here that hopefully are going to spawn 5 guys that join an organization or go and do something. So I'm contributing in my own little way. Oh, there's a hot himbo guy doing it for the masses. God bless, that's good. Oh, there's a fucking weird guy over there making parallels between Magic the Gathering and socialism. That's also fucking good. Fucking more fronts are good. Why are you spending the majority of your time as a communist making fun or derailing other socialists that are trying to do their own little pitch towards the cause? What the fuck is wrong with you? You self-sabotaging fucking animal fucker. Sorry. Sorry for calling somebody animal fucker. Sometimes from Serbian to Serbo-Croatian to to English translation in brain does not compute on English. Okay, when it comes out in English, it sounds weird. It lacks cultural, reference.
Various parts of the city are connected and related. Now, for Jameson, the cultural logic of late capitalism leaves us stuck in the middle of London with no map.
Let's continue. Okay, this video is very good. It's been on top.
Because of the nature.
Cheers. Gamba beer, and it's a Sunday. I love you, chat.
Capitalism, it's like the boundaries of the city itself are always moving, growing, adapting, changing, even like contradicting themselves. This is why Jameson describes cognitive mapping as a pedagogical political culture which seeks to endow the individual subject with some new heightened sense of its place in the global system. So basically, this way of thinking has an educational function and helping to provide a new sense of how the global system works and then where our place within that system is, which is precisely what we get in the authoritarian stack. Because trying to understand how Curtis Yarvin is related to J.D. Vance and how Vance overlaps with the aims of Mark Andreessen, but also why Elon Musk and Peter Thiel both support Andreessen, but what all this has to do with the work of the fascist philosopher Nick Land can make you feel like you're losing your mind. You know, like someone dosed you with shrooms and dropped you into the middle of Tokyo with no map. To put it another way, our modern cultural and economic systems are incredibly alienating, making us feel a distance from ourselves, from others, and from these systems of power that explain why things are the way they are. You know, this is the type of alienation that draws some to conspiracy theory, as it promises some sort of explanation for why things are so bad. Cognitive mapping, on the other hand, can actually have a disalienating effect on us, as it enables us to actually see the
Axel, please don't do this to me. If you hit me with the Turkish lira moment and I lose, you're going to fuck me up. Like, you're going to fuck... do your thing. But 100 gift subs for $100, and then if I had to double that, I would have to pay around $500. That would be fucked up. No, I'm not being meta-ironic here. No, if you admit that you are doing it with the lira, I would have to 50 it. No, I know I'm the house, but come on.
Of class relations in our society. And once we're able to represent the totality of the system of late or too late capitalism, we're able to understand our own position within that totality and then use that position as a starting point for a new critique of the system. One that might have previously felt...
Do you get paid out based on how much someone pays or how much subs are worth to you? How much someone pays, yeah. So 100 subs from an American and 100 subs from somebody that's based in Turkey is very different. I mean, it's literally 6 times different. But I still really, really, really like that Twitch, depending on the country you're at, changes how much it costs. I just have no idea why it thinks the country I'm at deserves the price of subs to be the same as it is in England or something. I do not understand why it believes that's normal.
Really difficult, if not outright impossible. And this is why Jameson associates cognitive mapping with class consciousness, as dominant systems succeed precisely in as much as they're able to obfuscate our actual class positions. But once we're able to see these things, well, it's way easier to understand our own class position and build solidarity with others in that position. So does this all just mean...
Hamburger, cheeseburger, 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 Big Mac, Big Mac, Big Mac, Big Mac, Whopper, 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 hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper, hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper, hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, Whopper, Big Mac, Whopper.
The rarest sound you can hear here, okay? the prayer to consumerism.
You just got to go to the website and look at a cool map to defeat the rise of techno-authoritarian capitalism.
And that Pulitzer, thank you for the gift.
Yes, sadly, no. Looking at a website will not fix this one. But things like
crazy hamburger, crazy hamburger,
particular evil CEOs and politicians with their own particular ideological projects, and instead shows us the big picture of how it's all connected and how all of these nodes of power are working together. Having a cognitive map of the system is not an end in itself. Rather, it's the starting point for doing the type of analysis that can lead to political resistance and change. That is, unless you really like the vision of people like Alex Karp and Peter Thiel and Mark Andreessen. If you really like what they're up to, do nothing, hang out, sit around. It's all
gonna happen. Yeah, you're fine. You're
in your
fine.
favor, Luke. And unlike the conspiracy theorists, studies like this actually have the research and data to back it up. Okay, so do check out the Authoritarian Stack. Spend some time clicking around. It's an important project. I think you can learn a lot from it. I know I did. It's also sort of like a fun computer game that teaches you about tech authoritarianism. If you're interested in learning more about Frederick Jameson, his theories, other philosophy stuff like that, we've been looking at his work in my reading group. All those sessions are available over on my...
Unironically, go and support Michael. Michael's analysis here is fucking fantastic and shows that he's a very erudite socialist. It's very, very good.